Good morning, good morning. This is Jacqueline Richardson, Miss JJ Diamond, Jackie, Deja, whatever y'all call me. Thankful for waking up this morning, and give prayers to those that didn't and those that are ill and, we're waiting to recover. Remember to do that, God is always watching. Let's see what the weather is today here in Charlotte. Alexa, what's the weather here today in Charlotte?
Currently, in Charlotte, it's 37 degrees Fahrenheit with clear skies and sun. You can expect more of the same today, with a high of 58 degrees and a low of 35 degrees.
Alexa, thank you.
Anytime. Enjoy your morning.
Alexa, you as well.
Thanks.
Oh, now with the Alexa session. I hope everyone is doing well. It's getting cold, so y'all got to keep y'all immune systems built. The tangerines, the oranges are out there. Try to put some vitamin C in daily, people. Between this COVID, people getting regular colds, flu, it's going to be a beast, and we got to beware, and keep our bodies detoxed on a regular, and constantly putting in vitamin C to keep that immune system built. Today I want to talk about you are what your children see. From the time that you give birth and as your child is growing, your child is watching. Okay, because that's what they do. That's all they can do, especially when they first born. They just sit around and watch, like what they're supposed to do when they're able to do it. We are our children's first teacher, and even though, this COVID thing is bad, it was a good thing because it got parents to actually see how their children are during learning process, and then it's easier for them to see how to work with your child. Now, every child is different. Me personally, I have always wanted to have 2 girls and 2 boys. I only had 3, but I got the chance to raise my grandson, so that was still 2 girls and 2 boys. And the reason why I wanted 2 girls and 2 boys is because I wanted to be able to see if I train all the kids the same way, will all these kids come out the same way? And of course, it never works that way. Reason being is because people perceive things differently. Okay? So, when we are training our kids, you have to see what your kids are actually gathering up. And it's not easy as a parent, being a parent is real difficult. People don't understand. You got those that do understand, and then you have those that just don't care. It takes a lot of time, mental and physical. You got to be there for them children, no matter what. You are their savior until they know God. So with that being said, you have to watch what you do, because they're watching you every minute, every step of the way. People tell me, why do you do this? Why do you do that? You don't do this. You don't do that. Well, I'm trying to raise good children, and I'm still, even though my oldest child is 34, and she's been lacking some things because I was young when I had her. So I was still raising myself, and learning, But God gave me the chance to still mother now, because things can change when they see how you are, and it's crazy because, even though my daughter's 34, she can tell you what type of person I am. And she's like, well, my mother don't tolerate that. My mother's not like, my mother. So, when she goes out and do things that she ain't supposed to do, that tells me what you're supposed to do, but you just didn't have or want the ability to be, not be like me, because I don't want my children to be like me. I want my children to be better than me. However, she chose that she didn't want the fights. Put it like that. I can't knock her for that. But what I can continue to do is continue to teach, even though she's 34. Same with my 24-year-old. I can continue to teach, because they're not perfect, just like I'm not perfect. They're going to pick up things from elsewhere. And when they're grown, they get to carry things the way they want to carry, and there's nothing we can do about it as parents. But we can give them the knowledge and give them the ability to care for themselves when they're grown, and make the right decisions, Sometimes my kids will call me up, and say, Mom, what would you do in this situation, And, I'll tell them they still need me, I'll tell them, well, if it was me, this is the way I would handle it, Because kids always depend on mother's love. If nobody else loves a child, the mother's going to always love the child. But we got to love the child enough to give the child enough, how can I say? Give the child enough knowledge to be someone, to love themselves, and know that when things go wrong, they can call mom, and find out what's the right way to go with something, or how would mom deal with a certain situation. Now, mom is not always right, especially when you've been out living a certain type of life and mom didn't live that life. So we can't always listen to our parents when it comes to certain situations, but we can take their advice into consideration. Like my mom, I miss my mom a lot because we used to talk every single day. I had a whole family, and I still talk to I was grown. I still talk to my mother every single day, telling her about my family or what happened at work or whatever the case may be. And, she would give me, some advices, but she couldn't give me that much advice because my mother didn't have 4 children, so she couldn't tell me everything, my mother wasn't the type to, how can I say it? She wasn't, I'm not going to say she wasn't kid friendly, but, in her era, kids was made to be seen and not heard. That's the difference of the eras, You do what I say do, and you keep quiet. That's what children of my era was always told. You go to your room, you play, you watch TV, or, you read a book. This is what you do. We wasn't able to express ourselves that much, as children, in my era. Even if you talk back, you might get slapped upside your face. Me, I give my children a chance to fix it. I'll give them that chance to fix it because God gives us chances, And I said to myself, I want to build my family in a godly manner, not totally because I'm not 100%, but you have to instill these things within your children, So, like I said to myself, God gives children chances. You don't give people chances, so I'm going to give my child a chance as well. And when I say I'm going to give them a chance, meaning, okay, if you messed up and you messed up and I told you messed up and I'm looking some kind of way in the face, okay, I'm going to give you a second chance to get it right. Now, by that second or the third chance, now it's time for me to get on you, okay? I don't allow myself to get boiling when it comes to my children, because children have room for mistakes. This is what they do. In order to grow, they have to make mistakes. And the first place to make mistakes is at home. They're not in the streets like that, so they have no other choice but to do it at home. And learn from their mistakes at home. Granted, being out in the real world, those mistakes can be very tough. And your kids have to learn that. And some kids pick it up faster than others. And that's the beauty of raising children, because you get to see the difference in each child and what each child develops as they grow and what each child has picked up from you. I personally, I have a father. Everybody know I have a father. But my father wasn't around, so my uncles raised me. I think I had told y'all I had 5 uncles that was veterans, and fought in wars and stuff like that. All my uncles, they had money, so they would do things, and take me out and just explore the world with me, okay? And the things that they taught me, made me a little rough, I used to be this dainty little girl, and then I turned into this rough little girl, which they call like tomboys, okay? It's not that I am a boy. I just do boy things, And I learned these boy things from my uncles, okay? God bless their souls. They are what I saw, And my Uncle Luther, I'm going to use my Uncle Luther for instance. Like, matter of fact, I had called my landlord, and I told him, I said, listen, I need to paint my house. And he said, okay, well, we have to call a painter. And I'm like, call a painter? Painter? I don't know painter. I need paint. You know what I mean? He's from another country, so he's not understanding what I'm saying to him. So, I just left it alone. I just said, forget it. But in my family, we painted our house every so often to get the bacteria out of the house, to get the walls clean, make your area feel brand new. People ask me, how do you get through some of these situations? Because I had tough people raising me. And when you have tough people raising you, it rubs off. The same with you being a parent to your child. When they see toughness, that's what they're going to be, tough. If they see weakness, that's what they're going to be, weak. Okay, so if you a tough person and you raise this child and they have seen all this toughness in you, okay, and when they come back at you with that toughness, you can't be mad because this is what they seen. Okay, you just have to explain to them, well, I was young, when I raised you, and now I see things differently as a parent because I've grown. Getting back to me with my toughness, they taught me how to fish, taught me how to paint, how to fix stuff. Then I ran into friends in the street that was doing the same things that they was doing. So that made it even better because I'm like, okay, so this is the right way. You know what I mean? Because I see other people doing it, and it's all on the people that you hang around as well. And this is for the youth that's listening. You got to hang around the people that's similar to your family, for you to understand why they're teaching you the things that they're teaching you, and then you might see some things that your family does and you're like, ooh, I don't like that. And that's how you build your life when you grow up and get out there on your own. You may not like total discipline in your house, so you don't want total discipline. You may like how somebody else say set the state table at night. You know what I mean? I'm just using this for instance. And you may put that into your life. We have this big battle now where people saying, that they don't raise their children a certain kind of way. I was looking at Darren Fleet. He's a comedian that I've been following for quite a while now, and he having me cracking up. but he was telling a story about how his sister's kids came over and he doesn't know how to cook. So he made a pan of, that Stouffer's lasagna, from the store, frozen. He made that for the kids. They ate dinner. Then the next morning, he got up and was like, look, it's still lasagna. Y'all can have that for breakfast. So he didn't know that his sister, I guess, has changed her way of living, okay? And the kids didn't want the lasagna. They wanted some cereal. They're trained to have cereal in the morning. This is how she trains her kid. Or, I guess, breakfast, Like my kids are real funny as well. Well, not Egypt. She's not really too bad because she'd get up sometimes and make her own stuff now. But when she was young, I would get up every day. Okay, at a certain time, I would prepare breakfast and have breakfast at the table for my children. Okay, that's when I was working, people. Because when I'm working, I can't do it, of course. But I get up, I make breakfast. Excuse me, when lunchtime come, I go in the kitchen and make lunch, lunch. And, of course, dinner, the 3 square meals. Because that's what we taught. We're supposed to have 3 square meals a day. So these are the things that I would get up and do. My kids would watch this, And it got to the point, like, one of my kids, it just come stand at my door, like, are you going to cook? Now they grown now, they're not grown, but, they're old enough to make something for themselves. So I got to the point, because I be having so much to do, like with my businesses, I got to the point, okay, well, I'm going to buy the cereals. I'm going to buy, because that's something that you can fix yourself. You can get a bowl, pour some cereal in a bowl, get a spoon and some milk, and you good. So I started buying the cereals. I never bought cereals for my kids. Never really, not too much. I always felt that I needed to get up and make a breakfast and give them a hearty meal because breakfast is the first meal of the day. That was my theory. Okay, but it became very hard because I had things to do. So that's when I said, okay, I'll go out and buy the cereals. I always felt like cereal was for rich kids because cereal had gotten very expensive, okay? When I was a kid, you can get a box of cereal for $2. Now cereal is running, cereal has went down, okay? A few years back, cereal was getting to the point that it was $6 a box, $8 a box. And I kept saying, this is for the rich kids. I'm not feeding my kids this stuff. We're going to have bacon and eggs. I can't do this. And that, because my kids will eat a box of cereal in a day because they'll eat it all day long as a snack. You know what I mean? They'll pour cereal in a bowl and snack on it. Just like that, what is it called? Cinnamon Toast Crunch. They love that stuff. They just put it in a baggie and snack on it like it's potato chips, And I said, I can't afford this. Y'all eating a box of cereal a day. So I wouldn't buy it no more. You know what I mean? I said, no, you're not getting no cereal. I'm going to just cook for you guys. But now my kids are at the point where this is what they do. They have to have some type of breakfast, because this is what they was used to. And then some of them start getting out of it, as they got older because they be running. How kids do, especially when they're a teenager, they running. So they just want something quick and they're gone, I have one of my kids, he would just drink pretty much all day and then he'd eat one meal. And I kept telling him, like, you got to stop that because you're hurting your body. But he, kids do the things that they do and you done taught them the way. Once you've taught your children the way and you've done it the right way, and well, I can't say the right way, the way that you know best, because I can't say that there's no right way, because if that's the case, kids wouldn't fail. I'm trying to put it to where y'all understand what I'm saying. Like, nobody's perfect and nobody's 100%. However, children, like I said, they pick up stuff from you. But then some of them will turn a 360 and be somebody else that you don't even know, that you've never even experienced, in your life. But they'll go out and they'll gather this stuff from the street because they feel like that life is better for them than what you offered. Okay? And that's okay. It's their life. Your job as a parent is to give them security, love, have patience with them, and just be there. But once they get older, you can't beat yourself up if they failed, because that's their choice. You gave them all the tools that they needed to be successful. Okay? And if they don't do it, that's on them. Okay? You can't let yourself go crazy because your child has failed and didn't want to utilize what you gave them. Okay? You know, now I have a lot of people say to me, you put so much into your household because that's what God wants from me. You know, when I read the Bible tells me I have to take care of my children. That's what the Bible says. Granted, it says you're supposed to have a husband too, you know. But sometimes, you know, some of us become single parents. And you have to take on that job. And that makes you stronger. It makes the kids stronger. You know. By them watching. You know, and it's hard. But you have to have discipline in your life. Meaning you have to sometimes let some things go. Implement other things. You know. Like I'm going to use my younger son. He used to have this thing where he wanted to do what he wanted to do, you know, in my area, you know, and I told him, I said, listen, when you get grown and you get your own spot and you get your own place, then you can live life the way you want to. But while you're here, you can't. This is the way I live it here. And when you go out there in the real world, you're going to have to live by somebody's rules. And if you can't follow rules here, you're going to have it hard out there, you know. So we have to not let these kids freelance, okay? And this is where tough love come in. You know, sometimes we don't want to give our kids tough love. But once they have gotten to a certain age, if they don't want to see what you're trying to tell them and how you survived it, you know, because a lot of people didn't survive it. Meaning a lot of people couldn't go out there in the real world and actually survive that real world without becoming alcoholics, addicts, you know, without committing suicide or, you know, they go through all different type of things once they leave home. You know, because that's outside is a fantasy world for them when they're living at home. But when they get out there, home is a fantasy because they wish that they can come back, but don't really want to come back because they know what they have to deal with, you know, and they have rules, you know. So most of them will try and get themselves on board and do what they're supposed to do. Nobody's saying be a army sergeant to your children, but you got to show them what they may see in the real world. Because when they get out there, they become vulnerable to the streets. Okay? And once they become vulnerable to the streets, sometimes it's hard to break that. Now, myself, you know, I try to live my life, you know, and as time went on, you know, like I tell people I used to drink, I used to smoke weed back in the days. You know, I did things that everybody else did. It's not like I'm any different from anyone else, you know, and I don't point the finger to people. However, you know, I had to learn that how can I tell my child not to do something if I'm doing it every single day? Okay? I can't. Because they learned it from me, the first teacher. So, this is where you have to say to yourself, you know, watch what you do. Yeah, it's hard, people, and I understand. I understand that, you know, trying to refrain from things that we look at as negative, but it can be fun. We may have to refrain from these things because your children are watching. This is why we can't wait until our kids grow up and get out the house. Because now we can be free, okay? We can be... do what we want to do because we ain't got no eyes looking at you. Okay? Now, I told y'all I'm pretty much was raised by these vet men, okay? And my uncle, I'm going to use my uncle for instance. I don't know, for those on call that remember my uncle, he would come outside every now and again, get in his Buick, and we'd drive off, He was the reason why I wanted a driver's license, because no woman in my family had a driver's license. Not one. I was the first, okay? And I wanted to drive because my uncle, he always put me in the car with him. We would drive to Coney Island late at night, get Nathan's, I'll be sitting on the stoop with my friends. And he'd say, come on, Jackie, we going to Nathan's. And I said, oh, that's far. I said, we going on a road trip. Yay. I was young, so I'm like, yay. It's summertime in New York, And I'll jump in the car and we ride off, and go across the bridge to Brooklyn to get us some Nathan's, and come on back. And sometimes we'd be out 1, 2 in the morning, riding, This is what I experienced with my uncle, So this is what I do as an adult because there was nothing wrong with it, He taught me how to paint. He taught me how to fix my house. He taught me that anything that you take apart, you put it back the same way. Then I had other friends that taught me the same thing. So I said, okay, so everybody's right. So I don't have a problem with putting my time in to say fix something, hang a shelf, and I want to bring that up. Now, my daughter wanted some shelves. We were redoing her room. She wanted some shelves in her room. And I be doing so much. I'm like running through the house. Like, I put this on a to-do list. Like, let me go over here and do this. And let me go over here and do that. And go over here and do this. And my day is like pretty booked. And I had put up one of her shelves. And she watched me. She sat there and watched every second of me putting up that shelf. And I said, okay, I got to get back to her, on the to-do list. And I heard her banging. I said, what's that banging going on? She got tired of waiting me to put up the shelf. And guess what she did? She put the shelf up. And I came in and I looked and I said, oh, and it's straight too. I'm going to show it to y'all when we done with the room. She actually went in there and put up that shelf. So, I laughed and I said, see, that's me being that teacher for my child. This is what we have to focus on, people. Even when you cook, I bring my daughter in the kitchen with me. I don't know if you've seen, like, on Thanksgiving, I always have her popping the string beans. This year, she's going to be doing a little more than popping string beans because she's cooking whole meals now. Yesterday, her and her friends, they made some shrimp fettuccine. And it tasted pretty good. I was like, okay, I see y'all. They had me in the market, and they was like, well, we need this to make some such and such and such. And I'm like, okay. So we got the stuff, and they got in that kitchen. And the best part about it, y'all, was they cleaned the kitchen afterwards, okay? So that means that they pay attention, even though I did tell them, but you could tell people something and they could let it blow through one ear and out the other, okay? When I went in that kitchen, okay, my stove was clean, my sink was clean, and I think she left one pot that she had mixed the stuff in, but all of the dishes and stuff was clean. I was able to go in my kitchen and make another meal, because that was for them. They made it, even though I tasted it, and it was excellent. But this is what they watch me do. They watch me get in that kitchen and clean, cook. This is what I do, and they've been watching me do this for quite some time now. They'll come in there, her and her friends. She, Mom, what you doing? Miss Jackie, what you doing? I'm cooking. Or I'm making this. Can we watch? Can we see? Yes, y'all can see. Come on. And they watching and they looking, And they lurking, seeing every little thing, every detail that you're doing, And this is why you have to be cautious of what you do, Even when I clean my bathroom, My daughter, she hates to clean, but she comes and she watches. And she looks. And see. This is why we have to watch what we do. Even when you out here with that bickering, arguing with your friends and stuff, kids watch this stuff, I have to tell some of the kids that come around me, like, where did you learn that from? The stuff that they portray, where did you learn that from? And they just look at me. I'm like, okay, you're not old enough to go on the street by yourself too much. So, where are you picking this stuff up from? You can tell when a child is picking something up versus a character that they've built. And a small child can build character. Okay, it takes until they're about 10, they start building characters, starting to figure out who they want to be. Just like I'm gonna use Egypt for instance. She's trying to figure out who she wants to be, who she is, what's her style. She's trying to figure out, and this is what they do around that age. Being that I've had 4 kids, and raised 4 kids, and raised more than just mine. This is what they do at that age. They're trying to figure out, who am I? Who do I want to be? And you have to guide them through that. That's the most precious time in a child's life, whether it's boy or girl. They're going through hormone changes, and you need to be there every step of the way. Okay? Sometimes they would get out of hand, and you got to show them who's still, the head of the family. However, they're still trying to build character. Who am I? Who do I want to be like? Who do I portray to be? And this is when it starts. So when you get kids at that age, you really, really, really need to watch what you do. Because they're picking up every single thing they're watching. Because they're trying to understand what's going on in life. They're trying to understand themselves. They're trying to understand their bodies. They're trying to understand everything. And we are their teachers first. It starts at home. When your child goes out, I see this, let me go back for a minute. I see this TikTok post. I think it's TikTok, or is it on Facebook? One of these social medias, where it's TikTok, where the child went to school and beat up one of the kids. And the teacher called in the mother, and the mother says, well, what happened? And the child said, no. The teacher said, you want me to tell you what happened? She said, no, I want to hear from my child. I said, well, what happened? And children, sometimes they tell the truth. Well, I remember when you told me that if this particular child kept messing with me, to whoop their tail. And the mother got furious inside. She forgot. I said, remember when you was frying chicken? That's what you said? And instead of her just saying, yeah, I did tell my child that because this is why. You know what I mean? Sometimes you need to explain why. But the child made the parent look bad. And the moral of the story was, sometimes we tell our kids things that we don't really mean because we don't think that they'll do it. But you got to remember, you are your child's first teacher. And if they're being told that fighting is not right, okay, and then they come home to the parent, and then the parent said, well, if this child hit you or do this to you, whoop their tail to stop it, and I'll deal with things later on. This is what they're going to do because they believe in you as a parent, because this is the person that protects them, that when they're sick, you get up and you make sure that they're good. You're there for every step of the way. So they're going to do these things. So we have to refrain from the way we say things and the way we do things with kids. You know what I mean? Now, my approach, even though I was a fighter as a child, I've learned that fighting wasn't always the answer. Sometimes you need to talk things out and you can resolve things before. And I had to learn this since I got older, because being that I was a child that was always by myself, people would pick on me. People would try to bully me. So I would bust them in the face or, start a fight, get in a fight because I want them to leave me alone. However, that's not always the answer. But you do have to protect yourself. If someone hits you, of course, you're going to hit them back, But I've told my children, I've always told my children, if something is happening at school, because I am your overseer, I'm your parent. So I have to be the one to handle the situation if you get in trouble. But I don't want you to get yourself in trouble and it reflects you for the rest of your duration in school. So if someone is doing something to you and you don't like it or whatever the case may be, you come home and you tell me. That's when I'm supposed to talk to your teacher. And your teacher's supposed to watch what's going on around you and try to stop the situation. Okay? Now, if the teacher fails to do her job, because it's hard, and don't get me wrong, people, it's hard for teachers to watch 22, 25, 30 kids in a classroom, and that's why I feel teachers are overpaid. How is it that a teacher can watch 30 kids at one time, but a daycare provider can only has one daycare provider? 4 kids to one daycare provider. That doesn't match up to me. So I always felt the teachers were underpaid. Not only underpaid, being abused, because they have to watch all these kids and teach them. Okay? It's not fair to them, So even though COVID happened, it's a good thing, because now people get to see how their children really act during lesson time. And it's not easy trying to raise your children at home plus teach them at home. Reason being is because we're used to having that break and throwing them off to the teacher. But people are starting to see now who their children really are. So I don't say that this COVID thing was totally bad, because it got us to learn about our family, because we always on the go. We always running. This is what we do. This is Americans. We run. We got to go to work. We got to go to the store. We got to go over here. We got to do this. Now we got to come home. We got to get the kids ready for bed. We got to feed them. This is what we do. Oh, one kid gets sick. Now we got to run to the hospital. We always running. So you never really get to see who your children are. Okay? And that's something that we have to learn. Even though we don't want to, because we do have to do all this running. Sometimes you have to sit down. Sit down and just watch yourself. What are you teaching your children? Okay? And the reason being is because the way you're living your life is the way they're going to perceive life. The way you're thinking, because you're so tired or mentally frustrated, is what they're going to see. Because you're folding, they're going to fold during tough situations. So you have to stay strong, people. I tell people all the time, meditate. Take time out for yourself after you won. And make time. You have to make time, people. I don't care what people say. You got to put things in order, and you say to yourself, okay, everybody straight. Now it's time for me. I had to learn the hard way, But I figured it out. And that's what you have to do. You have to figure it out. When you are the head of your family, and most likely the women are the head of the family, even if they have a husband, because she takes care of everyone, And it's really hard and difficult when we have to work too, because we're working and we're trying to make sure the house is good and the kids is good and the husband is good, and we be and drove ourselves crazy. This is when I learned to implement meditating, because I got to be free for a moment. Because if I'm not free, then I'm going to snap on you guys. And it's not because I wanted to. It's because y'all have put so much pressure on me that I don't understand what my mind and body is going through. The excess stress. So we have to learn and take time for ourselves so we can raise a healthy family. Now, if you have family members that just don't want to be in that healthy environment, then that's when you can show them the door. Because once you've done your parts and gave them the healthy environment, this is like, if you watch some of these movies, you think this stuff is fantasy, but it's not. When you watch some of these movies, and sometimes the kids, they be going through things, and they come home on the holidays, or they want to talk to mom, they come home and, like, matter of fact, I was talking to a lady the other day, and she said, my son called me, and he talked about he want to come over, and I'm like, not today, son, because I'm just not feeling up to it, because she knew that if he was coming over, it was something that he had to tell her, or he had to he needed mommy. Sometimes they just needed to see mommy to feel better, to say that I can make it through this, And she said, I had to tell him, like, not tonight. Mommy is tired, and I need to rest. I can't focus on you right now, And sometimes it be like that. You never stop parenting. No matter if your kids is 50 and you 70, you're going to still parent. It never stops. Because they're going to experience things that they've never experienced before. Because times change. So even though their safe net is at home, because you provided that healthy lifestyle for them at home, and they can always come home and say, Ma, I need you. I just need you mentally. It may not that they want anything from you. They may not want nothing from you financially, but they might just want to be in the comfort of safety for that moment because you brought them up in a healthy environment. But if a child doesn't want to come back home, something is wrong. That environment wasn't healthy. Okay? And kids know. Even if they was the ruckus of the house, they always going to remember that healthy environment. That environment where they felt secure. Okay, so that's something that y'all have to recognize. You want to create this healthy environment for your children. So they know that what's going on out here is not what I'm used to. And I can't live my life like this. So this is what I got to work towards. I got to go this way. Y'all might be going that way, but I got to go this way because the way I was taught was like this. And they will bring that to the table. How they live and what they're used to. I even see it with my grandson and his baby mother. They was brought up two different ways. And he'll say in a minute, like, look, I wasn't brought up that way. I may be crazy, I act a fool, but I know better. You know what I mean? And I hear her say something like, well, this is the way I was brought up. This is what they take out into the world. Now, if you are showing them negativity when you, and let me tell you something, there's grown men that I know that did not have a healthy home setting. And you can tell by the way they project life. Okay? So, with that being said, people, make sure your children have a healthy lifestyle. Try to keep the drugs out. Try to keep the alcohol out. Try to live a everyday life. The normal way. No ruckus. No chaos. They don't need that. Going out into the real world. Because there's people that live differently out there. This is Jacqueline Richardson, Miss JJ Diamond, Jackie, Deja, whatever y'all call me. I love y'all, and I'll talk to y'all tomorrow.